We've got four, count them, four, gimme four big stories for you tonight with no time to waste. Floyd Wallace gets scammed again by his Livestream panel. While no longer afraid of a milk bath, Wallace is now afraid of pie. Wallace learns a Colombian dollar is not worth fighting over in his latest escapade. Jeremiah Payne returns to declare victory over Clarksville Child Protective Services because he said so. Says he's gonna sue everyone involved in the case. Warned the judge about the Tros, so the Tros better not take action. Denver Metro Audits asks for the ability to serve Frauditor troll via email in his ongoing lawsuit. How does Patrick J. Darcy fit into all this? Plus, more fun in Chili DeCastro's lawsuit against Irish Demon. Will Demon's business partner be held accountable for his alleged hacking? And how did DeCastro's Labor Day celebration of himself go this year? I'm your humble newsreader, Pants. You're a pair of rainbow knee-high socks, some roller skates, red suspenders, and a good time waiting to happen. Will you join me as we disco skate our way to the heavenly heights of auditing insanity? Perennially outraged YouTube personality Jeremiah Payne released a video on Tuesday updating the Payne family's ongoing situation with Child Protective Services in Clarksville, Tennessee, and promising new lawsuits against Child Protective Services and Clarksville police. Payne ran into trouble with Child Protective Services, or CPS, earlier in the summer when he got into an altercation with a female CPS worker on the side of a street in Clarksville. The woman was following up on a complaint by a local business and said that she was hoping she didn't find the family so the incident could resolve. Jeremiah picked up on her words and escalated the situation, claiming that the woman was going to drop the investigation until she caught him filming her. He ran with the story and doxed the woman's information to his fans, telling them to contact her on his behalf. The woman was reassigned to other cases after the minor uproar caused the Payne's fans and was replaced by a male CPS worker. That worker, according to Payne, wanted a walkthrough and an interview of Payne's 7-year-old daughter alone, as per CPS policy. Payne objected and made at least one YouTube video where he said that the CPS worker would take his daughter over his dead body. A standoff between Payne and CPS over the walkthrough commenced until the YouTuber suddenly went silent on the matter, telling fans to email him directly for updates. According to Payne's new video, his silence had been due to a court order by a family court judge, who told him that if he made any more videos about the CPS case, or even recorded CPS workers, he could be put in jail. Payne claimed that the CPS case was thrown out by the court after the Payne family allowed a CPS inspection of their home, and no issues were found. As the case was resolved, Payne declared that he would be talking about what happened regardless of any previous rulings by the judge in the case. The YouTuber also took time to lash out at trolls, including the judge and executioner YouTube channel, which Payne said was planning to mass report Payne and his wife to Child Protective Services. New to Payne's threats in his new statement that he has a civil rights attorney out of Nashville who will be filing federal civil rights lawsuits against the judge who put the gag order on Payne, Nashville police officers, and CPS for harassment. Payne said that any further threats to his custody of his child would not result in CPS taking his daughter away from him. He indicated that the judge and CPS were both informed of the trolls and now knew about any plans from outside parties to interfere in the situation. The YouTuber ended the video with a pitch for donations, as he claimed that his channel was no longer monetized and would not be monetized again. He said he had attorney's fees to pay and needed help doing so from his audience. This is a breaking news story. Financially deprived YouTube personality Floyd Wallace ended the extended Labor Day holiday weekend with a 5.5-hour live stream featuring the YouTuber performing acts of humiliation for money to delight his panel. Wallace had gone live multiple times without interesting content since we last checked in on him. Apparently cash-strapped in Medellin, Colombia, Wallace started Sunday's stream by asking for a loan from someone with the YouTube name Fun, who had apparently previously lent Wallace money. When the man refused to give him a loan with proposed terms of $100 and payback of $175 in the next 30 days, Wallace turned to requests for Cash App donations. He would establish prices for things he'd do for Cash App donations. Wallace's list would eventually grow to including getting a haircut for $25, taking a shower and changing the Nike-branded shirt he'd been wearing for several days for $5, and a $5 Cash App donation to keep the shirt on for 2 more days. Soon after, Wallace would run out of things to talk about and would open up a panel. The panel was limited to 6 total participants, including Wallace, as he refused to pay for the StreamYard streaming service and was on a free account. As with the Milk Challenge from last week, his panel used their time with the YouTuber to torment him. This time, an idea was floated to make Wallace go to a supermarket, buy a pie, then slam it into his own face and walk around for 10 minutes with the remains on his face. While Wallace was enthusiastic about the $75 offered to do the challenge, he ultimately backed out, much like with the Milk Challenge, as he was concerned that a stranger holding his phone would result in the phone being stolen. That go-to concern was not a problem for Wallace on a video he had released earlier in the day, featuring his date with a Rappi delivery driver. On that video, he willingly handed his camera to a worker to film as he and the Rappi driver drove a 2-person go-kart at a mall in Medellin. Wallace also cradled the woman's body in his arms in his now synonymous pose before lifting her body up until her crotch came in contact with his face. He then returned to the cradling position and spun the woman around in circles several times. When asked about the need to pose with women this way, he explained that it was an act of dominance. He said that, as a man, It showed off his strength and power over the woman. Wallace bragged about having sex with the woman and promised that he would release a second part of the date video later in the week. Returning to his panel, a panel member offered Wallace $1 for every minute he spent outside on the stream. Wallace accepted the deal and went outside, walking a long distance from his new Airbnb. Once Wallace was far away from his room to need an Uber to get back, the panel member revealed that he had meant $1 Colombia dollars, or pesos. A furious Wallace called off the deal and said it was a good trick, as a single Colombian peso is worth 0.00025 of a dollar from the United States. Now stranded, a long walk from his Airbnb, Wallace went to get an Uber to ride back to his room. His panel again intervened, offering him a Cash App donation to run all the way back to his room. Wallace agreed to the challenge and huffed and puffed his way back to his room. Viewers and his panelists were worried as Wallace went off-screen and started to make disturbing sounds of distress, apparently throwing up off-camera. He then got into an extended fight with his panel over who owed him money and who he owed money to as the live stream came to an abrupt end. Wallace is scheduled to hold a fundraiser later today. New moves on Tuesday by that Randall S., the unhinged attorney, Newman Esquire, on behalf of Christopher, Denver Metro Audits Cordova, rattled the First Amendment anti-auditing community as the pair filed a motion for email service in Cordova's lawsuit against Frauditor Troll. Newman had previously filed an amended complaint on behalf of Cordova that alleged that Jonathan Frauditor Troll Who Know was not truthful in claiming ownership of his channel, as Google's records indicate that the channel is owned by Nika O'Heary. Tuesday's filing goes further, revealing that O'Heary registered the AdSense billing profile associated with Who Knows channels, was created on or about January 26, 2022, with the full profile being finished on or about August 23, 2022. Also included in the filing is the unredacted billing information leading to an Ontario address and full telephone number for O'Heary, which also lists frauditortroll@gmail.com as the contact email for the account. In the filing of multiple DMCA counterclaims, Jonathan Who Know claims full ownership and responsibility for the Frauditor Troll YouTube channel and listed a New York City address for service, along with frauditortroll@gmail.com email address. According to Newman's filing, Who Know himself has been silent on the lawsuit, providing no response to emailed waiver forms. However, after receiving the email, Who Know removed 1,700 videos from his YouTube channel, including most of the videos named in the lawsuit. A subsequent attempt to serve Who Know at the New York address that he provided failed, as Who Know failed to provide a suite number required for delivery of mail to the address. If it were an error by Who Know, he made the same mistake 12 times between July and October 2024, as each of his DMCA counterclaims filed by Who Know contained the same mailing address for service. Google's response to a subpoena filed by Newman on Cordova's behalf then showed that Who Know was apparently untruthful in his response to his DMCA counterclaim, as the AdSense account was owned by O'Heary, along with the Ontario mailing address. Who Know himself also mentioned in a recent face reveal that he and his wife reside in Canada, despite unconfirmed stories over the years told by the couple that they lived in New York and were just using a friend's Canadian address for mail service to protect themselves from doxing. Strangely, Newman's motion also suggests that service can be done through attorney Patrick J. Darcy, who previously made a failed attempt to file an amicus brief in the lawsuit on behalf of Huno. Further, Darcy, whose email address is pat@patricklaw.net, admitted in his purported amicus submission that he had extensive discussions with defendants regarding this lawsuit. Service to these addresses is therefore reasonably calculated to provide actual notice. Defendants' awareness of this case is beyond dispute. Their refusal to accept service tracks directly with Darcy's threat to make this litigation very expensive and difficult. This demonstrates that defendants' evasion is not incidental but strategic, likely guided by Darcy's advice, and will continue absent court intervention. While Darcy's motion was rejected by the court, and Darcy has not issued a public statement since the ruling denying the motion, his actions leading up to the filing remain a concern for Newman and Cordova. Attorney Newman contended in the filing that Darcy's actions in filing the brief were more extreme than existing examples of case law allowing for email service. In his filing, Newman commented that Darcy made himself a party for service when he voluntarily interjected himself into the litigation and when admitted his extensive discussions with Huno, despite Huno not being a client. Newman went on to justify the request for email notification in a statement to ReallyCoolNews. This ex parte motion is about basic fairness. Defendants can't hide behind a fake New York address when Google's own records prove they've been monetizing from Canada the whole time. And thanks to Mr. Darcy's unsolicited filings, the court already knows they're fully aware of this lawsuit. The law is clear. Courts routinely authorize email service in Internet disputes. We are simply asking the court to hold defendants to the sworn promises they made in their DMCA counter notices. The motion by Newman is still pending before the court. Jose Chili DeCastro's Labor Day weekend recovery saw the YouTuber get 2 minor victories in his lawsuit against Dale Lackluster Hiller, Josh Accountability for All Abrams, and Kate Peter, a new filing for email service in his lawsuit against Josh Irish Demon O'Day, and troubling signs with his viewership for his annual Labor Day livestream celebration of himself. Starting with the O'Day case, DeCastro's lawyer, that Randall S., the unhinged attorney Newman Esquire, filed on Wednesday a request for email service to O'Day and apparent business partner Joe Familette of the Creator Growth Group Investment Fund. The filing shows that O'Day acknowledged legal action by DeCastro, as Newman explained. On July 31st, 2025, defendant appeared in and posted a video to the Irish Demon channel titled Happy Birthday to Me. In that video, defendant stated, "Oh yeah, I'm getting sued by Jose DeCastro for a video I put up 2 years ago." At that time, DeCastro had only filed a subpoena for O'Day's records from YouTube, but did not file his actual lawsuit against O'Day until August 5th. O'Day has not replied to an acknowledgement of service form sent to him via email when that case was filed. Newman's filing also stated that the Australian mailing address provided by O'Day in his DMCA counterclaim to a November 18, 2022 DMCA takedown notice was either false or no longer reflects O'Day's current address. At the time of the counterclaim, O'Day was living in Ireland and has continued to maintain his primary residence in the country since that time. Newman asked the court to allow email service of the lawsuit, as O'Day swore in the DMCA counter under the threat of perjury that his mailing address was in Australia, which proved to be false, while also indicating he would also accept service via his primary email. Newman also asks for O'Day's apparent business partner, Joe Familette, to be served via email as an alternative to serving O'Day. According to Newman, he was contacted by an attorney representing Familette and the Creator Growth Group Investment Fund, which confirmed that the fund has a stake in O'Day's main Irish Demon channel. Familette is apparently listed as an investor and co-operator of the Irish Demon channel. While Familette may not have been involved in the hacking of DeCastro's channel that O'Day publicly confessed to, his ownership status does make him a party to the DMCA-based charges. DeCastro's luck also improved over the week as he was granted the ability to use the electronic filing system to make filings in his Massachusetts-based federal lawsuit against Dale Lackluster Hiller, Josh Accountability for All Abrams, and Kate Peter. He also was granted his request to extend service to the trio as he was claiming that they were professional YouTubers who had the ability to hide their identities and address from service. The order from District Judge Leo T. Sorokin reads, Motion for extension of time to November 1st to effectuate service. Plaintiff's motion for extension of time is allowed. The time for service is extended by the requested 60 days. The deadline to serve the summons and amended complaint is November 3rd, 2025. Entered September 3rd, 2025. DeCastro is not represented by Attorney Newman in that lawsuit. The week was not all sunshine and rainbows for the YouTuber, as DeCastro's traditional Labor Day livestream celebration of himself went about as well as anyone could imagine. The extravaganza of Chile saw a huge number of shorts views next to no likes for that number, and a smattering of comments scattered here and there in response to his 3-hour and 10-minute celebration of himself. With 169,000 short-form views, leaving 1,000 likes for the stream, DeCastro actually did a below-average number of 0.65% like-to-view ratio. His 49 comments to 169,000 views did even worse, converting 0.289% of his viewers into commentators. He managed to take in $87 in new Super Chat donations during the live event, down from more recent streams, and he peaked at 1,367 concurrent viewers in the first 21 minutes of the stream. DeCastro could probably blame the holiday for his declines, as his August 31st livestream brought in 332,000 views, brought in $630 in Super Chat donations, but even that 5-hour broadcast still did only 1,400 likes and brought in 33 new comments. It seems like DeCastro is benefiting from going live in the vertical format after a week's suspension, as he brought in 2,000 new viewers between August 31st and September 1st to bring his total subscriber count to 673,000. DeCastro's interactions with his fans should be worrying, though, with his fan base failing to bring him over 2,000 likes, even when he is exposed to over 332,000 viewers. It's not for lack of trying, as DeCastro is constantly telling his viewers to hit the like button or tap the screen to like his videos. However, observers note that the fact that DeCastro seems to be fine by stopping at 1,000 likes when he's being exposed to a wider audience is reflective of his lack of effort to keep his new fans around. Likewise, DeCastro does not take the opportunity to remind his fans of his ongoing GoFundMe campaigns, and often forgets to plug his Venmo, Cash App, and PayPal donations links during shows, especially the bigger shows. It's reflective in his financial gains from the more recent livestream, where he mentioned nothing and gained next to nothing. His GoFundMe campaigns both brought in no money for Tuesday and Wednesday because of this, with no gains for either day. DeCastro rival Sean Paul Long Island Audit Reyes won Tuesday with $64 in new donations to his Help Me Fight These Unlawful Charges and Injustice Fund, followed closely with $25 donations to his Support the Fight Against Tyranny and Corruption Fund. Wednesday saw our own ongoing expenses campaign take the day with a $200 donation. Reyes's Help Me Fight These Unlawful Charges and Injustice campaign earned $35 in new donations to take second place for the day. No other observed campaigns saw new donations for either day. We need your help. Both ReallyCoolSite.org's daily newspaper and our daily newscasts are funded by your continuing donations and what we make from our YouTube AdSense revenue each month. If you'd like to contribute to help us keep the lights on, eating, feeding the cats, defending ourselves from lawsuit threats, and writing news stories to feature on both the newspaper and newscast each day, you can do so via a donation to our PayPal, Cash App, or GoFundMe accounts. If you can't afford to contribute, please watch our videos from beginning to end, like, share, subscribe, and comment. You can help by doing next to nothing, and we thank you in advance for pitching in.